This is the tale of the illusion of Kate Moss, a spectral showstopper featuring chiffon, scandal, and a Victorian theater trick that somehow upstaged an entire runway full of Gothic widows. If you want the full deep dive from Macbeth references to post-screen philosophy, skip ahead to the full story. Otherwise, if you just want the haunted highlights, no shame. Here's the TLDR Ghost Kate Moss edition. Picture this. It's Paris, 2006. The lights go down on Alexander McQueen's autumn-winter runway show. A giant glass pyramid stands at the center of a wooden catwalk. The crowd leans in. And then she appears. Kate Moss, floating midair in a billowing white chiffon gown. No entrance, no footsteps, just a ghostly pirouette. Projected life-size like she wandered in from a haunted jewelry box. The audience gasps. Some cry. One critic calls it cheesy. Everyone remembers it though. Technically, it wasn't a hologram. It was a 19th century illusion called Pepper's Ghost. If you've ever been on the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, you've seen this trick before. But that didn't stop people from losing their minds over it, because this wasn't just a visual stunt. It was McQueen's grand theatrical defense of a friend who had been chewed up by tabloids and tossed aside. It was also art, fashion, Gothic revival, and possibly the only time chiffon was used to stage a public resurrection. A ghost story told in fabric, and like all good ghost stories, it still lingers. The illusion of Kate Moss wasn't a typical runway moment. It was the moment, the grand finale of McQueen's The Widows of Culloden in autumn-winter 2006. Where a life-sized floating apparition of Moss draped in ethereal white chiffon danced midair inside a glass pyramid. She twirled, she billowed, she haunted, and everyone watching collectively forgot how to breathe. Now people love calling it a hologram because, let's face it, a hologram sounds cool, but technically, it was a 19th century theater trick called Pepper's Ghost. Think Victorian ghost story meets London Fashion Week. McQueen wasn't just showing off. The illusion was a deeply personal gesture, a public show of support for Kate Moss, who was knee-deep in a drug scandal at the time. The two were close friends, and McQueen, never one to shy away from spectacle or sentiment, decided to end his show by literally summoning her from the ether. Critics lost their minds. The fashion world still talks about it in reverent tones. It was the show's emotional climax, equal parts elegy and enchantment, and the illusion of Kate Moss has since become an icon in its own right. It even made appearances in both versions of Savage Beauty, the blockbuster McQueen retrospective. But this wasn't just fashion being dramatic, though yes, it absolutely was. The illusion has inspired whole essays, dissertations, and late-night YouTube dives, exploring everything from bridal symbolism to Gothic tropes to the uncanny valley of tech-assisted ghosting. And it all started with a woman in a dress, dancing like a dream you're not ready to wake up from. Alexander McQueen was not in the business of subtlety. His fashion shows were part runway, part fever dream. They were grand, theatrical, and unapologetically weird. Think human chessboards. Think glass boxes full of moths. Think wearable art that occasionally looked like it might bite you. Enter Kate Moss, fashion's beloved tabloid magnet, and McQueen's longtime muse. The two were tight. The kind of tight where she wore his most unhinged creations, and he, in turn, made her float like a tragic porcelain doll. Moss had walked for him before, but by 2004, she'd stepped away from the runway spotlight to chase lucrative ad deals and brand partnerships. Then came 2005. The scandal. Paparazzi photos, headlines, whispers of drugs. Brands dropped her like last season's handbag. It was the kind of media frenzy designed to bury a career, or at least stall it. McQueen, he did what real friends do. He clapped back hard. At his spring-summer 2006 show, he stepped out for his final bow in a "We Love You, Kate" t-shirt, basically fashion's version of flipping the bird to the tabloids. But he didn't stop there. He had an idea, something bigger than a shirt, something ethereal, something that would remind everyone that Kate Moss wasn't canceled, she was untouchable. He decided to resurrect her, literally, in the most Alexander McQueen way possible, by summoning her as a ghostly vision at the climax of his next show, The Widows of Culloden. As he put it, he wanted to show that Moss was more ethereal, bigger than the situation she was in. And it worked, and then some. Before we talk about the perception and legacy, let's talk about the illusion itself. It's March 3rd, 2006, Paris. The runway for the Widows of Culloden is built like a haunted Scottish ritual site. A square of rough wooden boards, shadowy lighting, and at its heart, a giant glass pyramid that looks like it's waiting to summon something. Or someone. The show begins like any other McQueen production, dramatic, brooding, beautiful. Models stalk the catwalk like vengeful aristocrats, and then silence. The final model exits. The lights dim. And then it happens. Inside the glass pyramid, Kate Moss appears, floating, spinning slowly, arms outstretched, wrapped in layers of white chiffon that ripple like smoke in a snow globe. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. The entire audience holds its breath as she twirls. Not quite real, not quite gone. A vision, a memory, a fashion séance. People called it a hologram because when something makes your jaw drop and your soul leave your body, hologram feels appropriately sci-fi. But technically, it was a 19th century stage illusion called Pepper's Ghost. No lasers, no sci-fi tech, just the clever use of reflections, a hidden Kate, a pane of angled glass, some lighting magic, and centuries-old theater wizardry. McQueen wasn't playing with gimmicks. He was summoning ghosts with the power of Louis Fuller and a wind machine. And it wasn't easy. Moss was suspended in a harness because floating is not as effortless as it looks, blasted with wind machines, and filmed in a 2-hour session that went way over budget. She wore a dress made of cloud-like chiffon that refused to behave. The designers, Bailey Walsh, Joseph Bennett, the duo Gainsbury and Whiting, and the post-production team at Glassworks had to render the entire venue in 3D just to make sure the illusion worked from every angle. Why? Because that pyramid? Visible from all sides, no hiding the seams, no room for error. It was the first time a fashion show had ever attempted something like this, and depending on who you ask, maybe the first large-scale 3D production of a performance ever. The illusion drew on the serpentine dance style of the 1890s, which was basically what happened when stage performers realized they could make people cry just by spinning around in flowing fabric under dramatic lights. Kate Moss did just that, with the emotional weight of a scandal, a resurrection, and a white dress that looked halfway between a wedding gown and a shroud. It was, in short, spellbinding. Now, to no one's surprise, the fashion world lost it. Critics called it everything from techno magic to fashion fantasy to the most hauntingly beautiful finale in runway history. Vogue's Sarah Maurer basically whispered only McQueen and dropped her pen. The Fashion Studies Journal declared it one of his most iconic finales, which is saying a lot considering this man once staged a chess match with live models and once had a robot spray paint a dress on the spot. Robin Givhan, high priestess of fashion criticism, summed it up best. McQueen didn't just create a show, he created a fantasy, one so convincing it made people believe fashion could move the spirit. Some audience members reportedly cried, some stared in awe, and one critic from the Times, however, called it unspeakably cheesy. Which, okay, fair. If your soul is made of Velcro and you've never felt emotions during Phantom of the Opera. But even the skeptics couldn't deny the cultural staying power. Months later, people were still talking about it, and not just in fashion circles. This ghost got academic. It's been picked apart by everyone from media theorists to art historians to people in Tumblr threads. In 2011, the illusion reappeared at Savage Beauty, the blockbuster retrospective of McQueen's work. At the Met, it showed up as a miniature, tiny ghost Kate, but when the exhibit moved to the V&A in London, she got the full haunting treatment again, life-sized, alone in a room, as McQueen had always dreamed. Kate herself even wore the original dress again on the cover of Harper's Bazaar in 2011, like a phoenix in chiffon. Oh, and in 2015, a protest movement in Spain staged a literal hologram march, citing Kate Moss's illusion as direct inspiration. That's right, she went from runway ghost to revolutionary icon. Only McQueen could accidentally spark ghost-powered civil disobedience. And if you're wondering what happened to the dress, a version of it lives at the V&A, stitched by McQueen's right hand, Sarah Burton, for another designer's wedding. Yes, someone walked down the aisle in the Kate Moss ghost dress. Iconic. In the end, the illusion wasn't just about Kate, or fashion, or spectacle. It was about belief in beauty, in redemption, in the power of a well-lit gust of wind. It's not just that the illusion of Kate Moss was beautiful, it was uncanny. And the deeper you go, the more layers it unravels. It's part literature class, part séance, part tech demo wrapped in tulle. So let's start with the Gothic tropes, because this runway show had so much drama. Critics and academics alike saw the Widows of Culloden as a Gothic spectacle, a stage soaked in melancholy, ghosts, and grief. McQueen himself said the collection was inspired by Macbeth, and fashion writer Jess Cartner-Morley suggested Moss was cast as Banquo's ghost, silent, spectral, unforgettable. Which tracks. She didn't say a word, but she still stole the entire show from beyond the metaphorical grave. Literary scholars had a field day. Catherine Spooner saw séance vibes. Bill Sherman said the illusion triggered a dreamlike reverie, and Kate Bethune described the whole thing as a consolidation of melancholy. In other words, fashion's sad girl era fully realized. Robert McCaffrey took it even deeper. He framed Moss's illusion as Gothic melancholy with a side of resurrection, comparing it to McQueen's infamous spine corset. But where that corset screamed body horror, the ghost of Kate whispered aesthetic sadness. Both were memento mori, fashionable reminders that death and cancellation come for us all. Moss's ghost, however, relied on our emotions to hit. It didn't horrify, it haunted. And let's not forget the real-life arc. McQueen told Moss he wanted her rising like a phoenix from a fire, after being torched by the tabloids. She reemerged not with a press release, but with chiffon and mood lighting. It was a reputation rehab via ghost ballet, and it worked. Film theorist Sue Ann Yeo argued the illusion played a key role in restoring Moss's public image, especially when it was later displayed as high art at the V&A. Even Moss knew better than to break the spell. She declined to attend the original show in person, saying if anyone found out she was there, it would take away from all the magic, the whole thing of me being a ghost. Then there's the mad woman in the attic trope. You know, that classic Gothic image of the barefoot, beautiful woman locked away from society. Fashion scholar Sarah Heaton noted how McQueen flipped the script. Instead of hiding her, he made her float, public, ethereal, uncontained. Other theorists saw her as numinous, untouchable, and evading capture. Basically, the ultimate ghost girl energy. And the dress? A wedding gown, or at least a haunted echo of one. Critics debated what kind of bride she was supposed to be. Some said tragic, some said vengeful, and some said, what if a veil got possessed and became sentient? Cultural theorist Monica Seidel found the look disturbing, called Moss a kind of Wiederganger, a German term for a ghost who comes back not to haunt you, but to make a point. Yet even she admitted the dress subverted expectations, destabilizing the very idea of what a bride is. Now, cue the tech crowd. To some scholars, this wasn't just fashion meets literature, it was fashion meets augmented reality. Anthropologist Brian Moran said it turned the runway into a modern magic ritual. Genevieve Valentine called it sci-fi. And some said it felt like virtual reality, keeping in mind that this was in 2006. Everyone was using a different vocabulary to say the same thing. What just happened? Fashion theorist Natalie Kahn argued it wasn't like watching a film. Moss wasn't in the image, she was the image, something you could see but not touch. Another coined it post-screen. There was no longer a barrier between image and audience. It felt like Moss was with you, but also somewhere else, like texting with a ghost. Timothy Campbell took a meta route, saying the illusion literalized fashion's fundamental spectrality. Translation: fashion has always been about showing and disappearing, like smoke and silk. McQueen ending the show with the ghost, then stepping out himself for the bow, a flex, an authorial mic drop. Of course, not everyone loved the hollow ghost moment. Some critiqued the V&A for leaning too hard on the tech narrative and ignoring the illusion's roots in 19th century phantasmagoria, spooky magic lantern performances designed to freak you out before TV existed. And performance theorist Johannes Beringer was deeply unimpressed. He called the hushed reverence in the V&A's hologram room pathetic. He's allowed to be wrong. In the end, the illusion of Kate Moss exists at the intersection of everything McQueen loved: beauty and darkness, past and future, fashion and theater, love and loss. It's a ghost story told in fabric and glass, a resurrection wrapped in tech and tenderness. And just like any good ghost story, it refuses to fade. So what did Alexander McQueen do when his best friend was getting dragged to the tabloids? He made her a ghost, a beautiful, tragic, untouchable ghost. And in doing so, he didn't just defend her, he turned her into a legend. The illusion of Kate Moss wasn't just a runway stunt. It was fashion history, Gothic theater, technological magic, and above all, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disappear in style. Until next time, stay strange, stay soft, and may all your fashion moments be a little haunted. If you enjoyed this little walkthrough time, feel free to like, subscribe, or just mutter, that was interesting, as you click and walk away. Either way, I hope to see you in the next one.